Welcome to the world of science function. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories. Enjoy the listening. The year was 2371, and humanity had reached its breaking point. For centuries, the Earth had endured the blight of alien incursions, not invasions, not wars, but an unending stream of species that saw Earth as their personal playground. The Galactic Union had long dismissed humanity's grievances, their bureaucrats waving away the complaints with words like minor inconveniences and harmonious coexistence. Today, that harmony was a shattered illusion. In a small, dusty outpost on Mars, Lily Ardent watched the latest catastrophe unfold on a holographic feed. The Nulvans, a jelly-like species known for their incessant explorations, had turned Central Europe into a pulsating mass of bioluminescent ooze. Rivers glowed, forests shimmered, and cities had dissolved into piles of organic sludge. Lily's fingers drummed against the edge of the console, her green eyes narrowed as the Galactic Union representative gave yet another condescending speech. The Nulvans are merely expressing their cultural curiosity. We must strive for mutual understanding. Mutual understanding? Lily muttered, her voice a low growl. How about they understand a fist to the face? Across the room, her partner Theo leaned against the wall, arms crossed. A towering man with a wiry frame, Theo's calm demeanor often masked a simmering fury. You're gonna pop a vein if you keep this up, Lil, he said, his voice dry. Lily shot him a glare. Someone has to care, Theo. They're turning Earth into a galactic sideshow, and all we get are speeches about tolerance. Theo shrugged. You've got a plan, or are you just venting? A slow smile spread across her face, one that Theo recognized all too well. It was the smile of someone on the verge of reckless brilliance. I've got a plan, she said, spinning the console to face him. The screen lit up with schematics, maps, and a list of materials. If the Union won't take us seriously, then we'll make them. Theo's brow furrowed as he studied the display. What exactly are you thinking? This looks like, he trailed off, his expression shifting to one of alarm. You're not serious. Oh, I'm serious, Lily said, her grin widening. We're building a deterrent. Something they can't ignore. Theo rubbed the back of his neck, muttering under his breath. You're gonna get us killed. Not if we do it right, Lily replied. The Union loves to talk about balance and peace. Let's see how they handle a little imbalance. Their first step was acquiring resources, a task easier said than done. The Galactic Union's presence was pervasive, their patrols frequent and their sensors omnipresent. But Lily and Theo weren't amateurs. They had spent years operating on the fringes, mastering the art of evasion. On the outskirts of Ceres Station, they found their first mark, a cargo freighter carrying a shipment of advanced nanoassemblers. The freighter's crew, a mix of apathetic humans and disinterested aliens, barely noticed when their ship's manifest was altered. By the time the error was discovered, the nanoassemblers were safely hidden in a Martian cave system. That was almost too easy, Theo said as he loaded the crates onto their transport. Lily smirked. Don't jinx it. We've got a long way to go. The next few weeks were a blur of heists, trade deals, and covert operations. They needed power cores, stabilizers, and a particularly rare element known as vintherium, a crystalline substance capable of amplifying energy output exponentially. It was during a daring raid on a Union research facility that they encountered their first major obstacle. As Lily hacked into the facility's database, alarms blared throughout the complex. Theo stood guard at the door, his pulse rifle humming with suppressed energy. How much longer? He called over his shoulder. Almost there, Lily replied, her fingers flying across the keyboard. They've got a failsafe encryption. This thing's a work of art. Theo fired a warning shot as a group of security drones rounded the corner. Appreciate the admiration, but maybe speed it up? With a triumphant cry, Lily bypassed the final layer of encryption. Got it, she said, downloading the data onto a portable drive. She grabbed the vintherium sample and bolted for the exit, Theo close behind. The pair barely made it out, their transport ship lifting off just as Union reinforcements arrived. "We're officially on their radar now," Theo said, panting as he secured the sample in a containment field. Lily's grin didn't falter. "Good. Let them watch. They'll never see what's coming." Back on Mars, their secret base buzzed with activity. The nano-assemblers were to life, crafting components with unparalleled precision. The power cores were calibrated, the Vintherium integrated into a custom-designed energy matrix. Day by day, their creation took shape, a massive, self-sustaining construct capable of projecting a gravitational anomaly large enough to disrupt Union operations across an entire sector. Theo watched as Lily fine-tuned the control interface. "You're sure this won't blow us all to hell?" "Reasonably sure," she replied, not looking up from her work. "That's not as comforting as you think it is." She finally turned to face him, her expression serious. "This is our best shot, Theo. They've ignored us for too long. If we don't stand up now, there won't be anything left to stand up for." Theo sighed, his shoulders slumping. "All right. Let's finish this." As the final components were assembled, Lily sent out a carefully crafted message to the Galactic Union. It was simple, direct, and impossible to ignore. "Your patience is a luxury we no longer afford. Return Earth's sovereignty, or face the consequences." The Union's response was predictable. They dismissed the message as an empty threat, labeling Lily and Theo as rogue elements. But as the anomaly generator roared to life, its gravitational field expanding outward, the galaxy's complacency began to crack. On the holographic feed, Lily watched as Union ships scrambled to respond. For the first time in centuries, humanity had their attention, and they weren't about to let it go. Theo stepped up beside her, his gaze fixed on the swirling vortex in the distance. "Here we go," he said, his voice steady. Lily nodded, her expression resolute. "Here we go." The Galactic Union's reaction to the anomaly was swift, but their confidence betrayed them. For too long, they had seen humanity as a minor player in the vast theater of interstellar politics. The idea that Earth could produce a technology capable of disrupting their meticulously maintained order was inconceivable. Yet here it was, a gravitational anomaly expanding across the sector, causing chaos in its wake. Union ships attempted to approach the source, their sleek designs shimmering with defensive energy fields. But as they neared the anomaly, their instruments faltered, and their engines sputtered. Some were drawn into the vortex, their hulls creaking under the strain before vanishing into the swirling mass. On Mars, Lily and Theo monitored the chaos from their command center. The holographic displays showed live feeds from orbiting satellites and intercepted Union communications. "They're panicking," Theo observed, his tone grim. "Looks like we hit a nerve." Lily leaned forward, her green eyes fixed on the screen. "Good. Let them feel what we've felt for centuries, powerless, ignored." The anomaly generator, nicknamed the beacon by the pair, continued to hum with a low, steady vibration. Its energy matrix glowed a deep blue, pulsating in time with the gravitational waves it emitted. The structure, a masterpiece of stolen technology and human ingenuity, stood as a testament to humanity's resilience and determination. "We've got incoming," Theo announced, pointing to a cluster of ships breaking away from the main Union fleet. "They're sending a tactical squad to shut us down." Lily smirked, tapping a few commands into the console. "Let them try. The beacon's defenses are fully operational." As the squad approached, automated turrets concealed within the Martian terrain activated. Energy beams sliced through the thin atmosphere, targeting the incoming ships with precision. Two of the ships exploded in fiery bursts, while the others veered off, their shields barely holding. Inside the Union flagship, Admiral Lurvek slammed a clawed hand onto the command console. The reptilian alien's yellow eyes narrowed as he reviewed the situation. "How is this possible?" he hissed, his voice a low growl. "Humanity lacks the resources for such technology." A subordinate, a pale-skinned Corlean with translucent features, hesitated before responding. "Admiral, their technology appears to be a hybrid of Union designs. They must have appropriated it." Lurvek's jaw tightened. Find the source of this anomaly and neutralize it. Humanity must learn the consequences of defiance. Back on Mars, Lily and Theo watched as the tactical squad regrouped. The surviving ships hovered just out of range, their crews clearly deliberating their next move. Theo shook his head. They're not backing off. They're trying to figure out a way to disable the beacon without destroying it. Lily's lips curled into a mischievous grin. Then let's give them something else to think about. She activated the beacon's secondary function, a system designed to emit targeted electromagnetic pulses. The pulses disrupted the Union ship's communication systems, leaving them isolated and vulnerable. On the holographic display, the Union fleet's formation began to waver as confusion spread. Theo glanced at her. You're enjoying this way too much. After everything they've put us through? Damn right I am. Despite their success, the tension in the command center was palpable. They both knew the Union wouldn't give up easily. Their adversaries had resources, manpower, and a deep-seated arrogance that refused to acknowledge humanity as an equal. As the hours passed, the Union escalated their efforts. They deployed drones equipped with advanced cloaking technology, hoping to bypass the beacon's defenses. But Lily and Theo were prepared. Automated sensors detected the faint energy signatures of the cloaked drones, and targeted countermeasures neutralized them before they could get close. They're getting desperate, Theo remarked, wiping sweat from his brow. Desperation makes them dangerous. Lily nodded. We'll hold. We have to. As the Union's attempts grew more frantic, the anomaly began to have unintended side effects. Ships and stations across the sector reported strange phenomena, time dilation, spatial distortions, and bursts of inexplicable energy. The Union's carefully maintained infrastructure was unraveling, and the chaos was spreading. In a secure chamber aboard the Union flagship, Admiral Lurvek convened an emergency meeting with his top advisors. The chamber's walls glowed with faint blue light, casting eerie shadows over the gathered figures. This cannot continue, Lurvek growled. Humanity's defiance threatens the stability of the entire sector. We must find a way to end this, swiftly and decisively. One of his advisors, a tall, insectoid being with iridescent wings, stepped forward. Admiral, we could deploy the Nova Disruptor. It would neutralize the anomaly, and the humans, in one strike. Lurvek's eyes narrowed. The Nova Disruptor is a last resort. Its use would violate our own treaties. Are you prepared to face the political fallout? The advisor hesitated, then bowed its head. No, Admiral. Then we find another way, Lurvek said, his tone final. On Mars, Lily and Theo worked tirelessly to maintain the beacon. Every hour brought new challenges, power fluctuations, overheating systems, and the constant threat of Union attacks. But through it all, they remained steadfast. This is bigger than us, Lily said during a rare moment of quiet. It's about proving that we won't be ignored anymore. Theo nodded, his expression somber. Let's hope it's enough. As the Union's forces regrouped for a final assault, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The fate of humanity, and the galaxy's balance of power, hung in the balance. And in the heart of it all, two determined humans prepared to face the storm head-on. The Union's final assault began with a chilling precision that sent ripples of unease through the Martian base. Dozens of ships, each bristling with weaponry and cutting-edge technology, formed a blockade around the planet. The anomaly's gravitational field slowed their approach, but their determination was evident. This was no longer a containment mission, it was an all-out offensive. Inside the command center, Lily and Theo prepared for the inevitable. The beacon pulsed with energy, its gravitational waves growing stronger with each passing moment. But its systems were strained, the prolonged operation pushing the machinery to its limits. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits, and warning lights blinked incessantly on the consoles. We've got incoming! Theo shouted, pointing to the holographic display. A swarm of Union fighters was descending through Marsden atmosphere, their sleek forms cutting through the reddish haze like blades. Lily's jaw tightened. Divert power to the turrets. We're not letting them get within a kilometer of the beacon. Theo nodded, his fingers flying across the controls. The automated defenses roared to life, a symphony of energy beams and projectile weapons lighting up the Martian sky. Fighters exploded in fiery bursts, but the Union's numbers were overwhelming. As the battle raged, the beacon emitted a sudden surge of energy, sending shockwaves rippling across the planet. Union ships were thrown off course, their formations breaking apart as they struggled to stabilize. The anomaly's gravitational field expanded, pulling debris and smaller vessels into its orbit. "That's buying us time," Theo said, his voice strained. "But the beacon's barely holding together. If we push it any harder..." "We don't have a choice," Lily interrupted. "This is our stand, Theo. Either we hold the line, or everything we've done is for nothing." A deafening explosion shook the command center as a stray missile struck the outer defenses. Dust and debris rained down from the ceiling, and the lights flickered ominously. Theo steadied himself against the console, his eyes wide. "They're getting through." Lily grabbed a communicator, her voice sharp. "All units, focus fire on those breaches. We can't let them reach the core." Meanwhile, aboard the Union flagship, Admiral Lurvek observed the chaos with a mix of frustration and admiration. Humanity's defiance was unlike anything he had encountered in his long career. Despite their technological inferiority, they fought with a tenacity that bordered on madness. "Prepare the Nova Disruptor," Lurvek ordered, his tone cold. "This ends now." A murmur of unease rippled through the bridge crew. The Nova Disruptor was a weapon of unparalleled destructive power, capable of obliterating the beacon and everything within its vicinity. But its use was forbidden under Galactic Union law, a line that even Lurvek hesitated to cross. "Admiral," one of his advisors began cautiously, "are you certain?" "The political fallout will be a small price to pay for restoring order," Lurvek snapped. "Humanity has forced our hand. Deploy the weapon." Back on Mars, Lily and Theo were unaware of the impending threat. Their focus was on the battle at hand, the relentless waves of Union forces testing their defenses to the breaking point. The command center was a flurry of activity, the tension palpable. "We're running out of ammo for the turrets," Theo reported, his voice grim. "And the beacon's energy levels are critical. If we don't stabilize it soon..." "I know," Lily said, cutting him off. She stared at the holographic display, her mind racing. There had to be a way to turn the tide, to buy them the time they desperately needed. Her eyes fell on the anomaly, its swirling mass a testament to humanity's ingenuity and desperation. A sudden idea took root, wild and dangerous but their only chance. "Theo, what if we amplify the beacon's output? Use the anomaly itself as a weapon?" Theo stared at her, incredulous. "You're talking about weaponizing a gravitational anomaly. Do you have any idea what that could do?" "It'll either save us or destroy us," Lily admitted. "But at this point, it's the only option." Theo hesitated, then nodded. "All right. Let's do it." The two worked in frantic tandem, rerouting power and recalibrating the beacon systems. The strain on the machinery was immense, the entire structure groaning under the pressure. Sparks flew from overloaded circuits, and the hum of the anomaly grew into a deafening roar. Union forces closed in, their ships converging on the beacon in a desperate bid to shut it down. Explosions rocked the Martian surface as the final line of defenses faltered. Lily and Theo ignored the chaos, their focus unwavering. "It's ready," Theo said finally, his voice barely audible over the noise. "But once we activate it, there's no going back." Lily met his gaze, her expression resolute. "Do it." Theo pressed the final command, and the beacon erupted with a blinding surge of energy. The anomaly expanded rapidly, its gravitational waves tearing through the Union fleet. Ships were pulled into the vortex, their hulls crumpling under the immense pressure. The Martian surface trembled as the anomaly reached its peak, a swirling maelstrom of destruction. Aboard the Union flagship, Admiral Lurvek watched in horror as his fleet was decimated. The Nova Disruptor, moments away from firing, was consumed by the anomaly before it could unleash its devastating power. On Mars, Lily and Theo clung to each other as the command center shook violently. The beacon's systems overloaded, sparks flying as consoles exploded around them. For a terrifying moment, it seemed as though the entire structure would collapse. Then, as suddenly as it had begun, the anomaly stabilized. The gravitational waves subsided, leaving a haunting silence in their wake. The Union fleet was gone, their ships reduced to debris scattered across the void. Lily and Theo stared at the display, their faces pale. "Did we just?" Theo began, his voice trailing off. "We did," Lily said, her tone equal parts awe and exhaustion. "We bought humanity a chance." The command center was in ruins, the beacon's core a smoking wreck. But against all odds, they had survived. Humanity had survived. And for the first time in centuries, the galaxy would be forced to take them seriously. The silence that followed the destruction of the Union fleet was as profound as the chaos that had preceded it. Mars' thin atmosphere hung still, the only sounds within the command center coming from the sparking remnants of the beacon's shattered core. Lily and Theo sat slumped against a wall, their faces streaked with soot and exhaustion. The weight of their actions pressed heavily on them. "We did it," Theo said quietly, his voice hoarse. "Against all odds, we actually did it." Lily nodded, her gaze fixed on the smoldering remains of the beacon. "We bought humanity time," she replied. "But this isn't over. The Union won't forget this. They'll come back, stronger and angrier than ever." Theo chuckled weakly. "And we'll be ready." Somehow. Their victory was short-lived. Within hours, the Galactic Union began transmitting messages across the sector. The tone of the broadcasts was unmistakably dire. "Attention all systems, the human resistance has destabilized the sector with an unprovoked and reckless act of aggression. We are calling for an immediate summit to address this crisis." The words were calculated, designed to frame humanity as the aggressor and rally the galaxy against them. But the broadcasts also carried an undertone of uncertainty. The Union's invincible facade had been cracked, and humanity's defiance was no longer something they could dismiss. On Mars, the aftermath of the battle was grim. The beacon's destruction had left the base in ruins, and resources were running dangerously low. Yet the morale among Earth's scattered resistance forces soared. For the first time in centuries, humanity had struck a blow against the galaxy's oppressors and lived to tell the tale. In the days that followed, Lily and Theo became reluctant leaders of a movement that grew faster than either of them could have anticipated. Messages of support poured in from across the sector, not just from humans, but from alien species who had also suffered under the Union's iron grip. The rebellion was no longer just humanity's fight, it was becoming a coalition of the disenfranchised. One evening, as the makeshift command center buzzed with activity, Theo approached Lily with a datapad. "We've got something," he said, his voice tinged with excitement. "A transmission from a Union insider. They're offering intel on the Union's next move." Lily raised an eyebrow. "A trap?" "Possibly," Theo admitted. "But if it's legit, it could give us the edge we need." After a moment's hesitation, Lily nodded. "Set up a secure channel. Let's hear what they have to say." The transmission came through late that night. The figure on the screen was cloaked in shadows, their voice distorted. But their words were clear and precise. The Union was planning to deploy a weapon of mass destruction, one that would ensure humanity's annihilation. The weapon, codenamed Eclipse, was already en route to Earth. Lily's stomach churned as she absorbed the information. "If they deploy this weapon, everything we've done will be for nothing," she said. "We have to stop it." Theo frowned. "How?" "We barely survived the last battle. We don't have the resources or the manpower to take on another fleet." Lily paced the room, her mind racing. Then, she stopped abruptly. "The anomaly," she said, a spark of determination in her eyes. "It's still active. We can use it." Theo's eyes widened. "You're talking about reactivating the beacon." "Lily, it's destroyed." "Not entirely," she replied. "The core's intact. If we can rebuild it, even partially, we can generate another anomaly. One big enough to stop the eclipse. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. Rebuilding the beacon was a monumental task, one that would push them to their limits. But there was no alternative. The fate of humanity, and their newfound allies, depended on it. Over the next several weeks, the Resistance worked tirelessly to repair the beacon. Engineers and scientists from across the sector joined their efforts, bringing expertise and resources that far surpassed what Lily and Theo had started with. The camaraderie was palpable, a sense of unity born from shared desperation and hope. As the deadline approached, the Union's fleet loomed ever closer. The Eclipse weapon was a towering construct, its silhouette ominous against the stars. Every second counted. Finally, the beacon was ready. It was a patchwork of old and new technology, held together by ingenuity and sheer determination. Lily stood before it, her heart pounding as she addressed the gathered Resistance forces. "This is it," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "We've fought, we've sacrificed, and we've endured. Today, we stand together, not just as humans, but as beings who refuse to be silenced. Let's show the Union what we're capable of." Cheers erupted from the crowd as the beacon roared to life. Its gravitational waves expanded outward, targeting the eclipse with pinpoint precision. The Union's fleet scrambled to counter the attack, but it was too late. The anomaly engulfed the weapon, its immense gravitational pull tearing the construct apart. Aboard the Union flagship, Admiral Lurvek watched in stunned silence as his plan unraveled. For the first time, he felt the sting of defeat. "Retreat," he ordered, his voice hollow. "We've underestimated them." As the Union fleet withdrew, the Resistance erupted in celebration. Against impossible odds, they had prevailed. Humanity's defiance had sparked a revolution, one that would ripple across the galaxy. In the aftermath, Lily and Theo stood atop a ridge overlooking the Martian landscape. The beacon's faint glow illuminated the horizon, a symbol of resilience and hope. "We did it," Theo said, his voice filled with awe. Lily nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "This is just the beginning. The galaxy knows we won't be ignored anymore. And we're not fighting alone." For the first time in centuries, humanity had a future worth fighting for. And they were ready to face whatever came next, together. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss new stories.